This is example 2 for finding derivatives algebraically. Again, we're going to use this formula for a derivative, the limit as h approaches 0 of our difference quotient. We got a little bit different formula here, a different function I should say, g of x, and this is going to work out a lot like the last one except for the fact that we've got an extra x in there, and I'll show you what that means as we're plugging it into the formula. It makes it a little bit more complicated, but overall the same process. So what I mentioned last time is that I think it's a good idea to start by just saying what is g of x plus h, or what is f of x plus h, depending on the letter. So we're going to plug in x plus h for every spot that we see x. So in this case, that means x plus h squared plus 3 times x plus h. You have to replace it for every single one of them, and that's what makes this a little bit tricky. Now, in the end, we want to find the slope at the point x equals -1. That's going to be our goal in this case. All right, so we've got this now. We can plug it into our overall derivative formula. So f prime of x, do not forget about the limit. It's always going to be the limit as h approaches 0 of this fraction. So now my fraction starts with g of x plus h. So that's x plus h squared plus 3 times x plus h plus 1. And then I'm going to subtract this whole thing. So again, I'm going to go everything inside of parentheses because I will have to distribute the negative. All of this over h. Okay, there's step 1. Step 2 is let's start to simplify some of these things. Keep my limit in there until I actually use it. X plus h squared is x squared plus 2xh plus h squared. Mainly, don't forget about the middle term. That's what people tend to forget about the most, is that middle term. Then I have plus 3 times x plus 3 times h plus 1 minus x squared minus 3x minus 1. So there's a lot of stuff here. All that over h. It does simplify down pretty quickly at this point, though, because a couple of things that we see that can cancel out. X squared cancels with negative x squared. Positive 3x cancels with negative 3x. And, oh, I had a 1 in here that I forgot to put. There was a 1 there. So that is going to be positive 1 and negative 1. Those are also going to cancel out. And so that takes care of a lot of stuff for us. Next step, we still need to include that limit statement. Limit as h approaches 0. But what's left on the top here is 2xh plus h squared plus 3h. I think that's all that's left, all that over h. And this next step, the nice thing here is, again, we can divide h out of each one. So h divided by h in each of those things, it's basically like distributing that h, only division. And so what that leaves for us is, from this one, it was h cancels out, so that'll be 2x. Here we have plus h. Here we have plus 3 because those h's cancel out. So now we have all of that. Now we can actually substitute 0 in for h and get an expression. We do that, 0 goes in here, we're just left with 2x plus 3. So going through this whole process again, what that means is that f prime of x is equal to 2x plus 3. That's what we've come up with. That's the formula for the derivative. Now if we want to find it at this particular point, we plug that -1 in. So f prime of -1 equals 2 times -1 plus 3. So that's -2 plus 3. So that slope is equal to 1. So the slope at that point, slope at x equals -1 is 1.